Usually there are issues related to the operating system that we have usually to monitor. The question says why the web browsers actually are a suspicious hole in the operating system that has to be monitored. This is actually a clear request to keep an eye on the operating system's tasks, processes, and let's say submitted requests and things like that. Why actually we talk about the web browser specifically, as per the question here? Because the web browser it gives, and clearly it is only as per the main function of the web browser, it is to interrelate with the external services, processes, and service providers. So it is meant to interact with the external world. Thus, it is a channel, it is a hole, absolutely. It is an access point that it is completely standalone. What does mean standalone? I mean it is not an operating system task. It is to be run. It is a software application. Remember, it is not a system application. It is a software application. It has to be controlled usually. Yet, software application, but looking at the Edge specifically, Microsoft Edge, the browser of Microsoft Edge, it is from the .NET. It is from Microsoft's environment only. It is 100% compatible with the environment, and it can be utilized to control tasks on a domain, on a network. This means that this Edge has a capability to communicate with the operating system. And if it has any issue, if it presents any vulnerability, it can lead to breach and to break into the operating system. Thus, it has to be monitored for every and each single task to do, without doubt, without any good thinking in prior. No, we have to suspect the browser for every activity to do whenever we are dealing with the external environment. Due to its capability to deal with the operating system, it can communicate, it can communicate with the operating system means to send commands to the operating system, no more, no less. Okay. We saw the tasks or the most famous activities to do to harden the operating system, which are the context of the updates, the context of the management, and the context of the buffer overflow. More than that, we saw actually the issues and the ways how to solve each of them. More than that, actually, we are now in face of yes, controlling the. Here we are going to define the web browser as a risk of threats to the operating system. It's a risk, true. It's risk. Why? Because originally the web browser it's not a problem. It's not a problematic application, but it can cause in the future. It can cause in the future, and actually it can be a hole in a fence. Means a vulnerability inside the operating system. A hole in a fence. Web browsers, they are actually simple software applications used for browsing the web, the www services, simply. There are technologies running behind browsers in general that we are going to control. We are not going to block the thing named browser or to allow the thing named browser. No, it's not like that. It's not like that. Technically, there are functionalities, properties, and features behind the web browsers that we have to control. And most of them, what we see in front of us, cookies, JavaScript, scripting language, the Java itself as a programming language, and there are other add-ins like the ActiveX, and specifically the entry points that can be utilized for an XSS attack, like we saw in the lab. 2 classes in the lab, we are working with the XSS, the cross-site scripting. Yes, they are actually what we did yesterday in the lab, if you remember very well. We succeeded in controlling, in hacking and in breaking into a web application from different perspectives with different, let's say, types of manipulations. So the cross-site script, and all of them, we did them actually on a web browser. We use the web browser to access the Fava Bay and the XSS, the projects and things like that. So they are through the web browser. As we can hack an application, we can hack the operating system. There are channels for that. So we have to take care of that. Who we? The administrators mainly. First, the technology that can be seen only when dealing with the web browsers is the cookies. To define what is a cookie, first of all, let me just put you in the scenario to make you understand where you can see the cookies in action. Okay, I believe that you know what is favabay.com. I believe that you know what is ebay.com. I believe that you know what is Souq Oman as an application, or Souq Oman as a web application, Olix and things like that. So those are very famous commercial applications, C2C application. You can go Alibaba, AliExpress. Actually, all of them, they are C2C applications, but yes, or B2C, whatever. You used to surf and buy, try to buy and to, yes, get purchase products. You are going to search for example, whatever, a camera, an IP camera, security alarm, or whatever, any, let's say, a car, or anything for your home appliance, whatever. Today you searched, next week you came back, you find all what you searched last time available in front of you. How it happens? What you search today, you find it available later, after 1 day, after 1 month, after 1 year, you find the same things you searched last time. How it happens? How they know that you are the one who searched for those things exactly? There are things that tracks you. There are things that tracks you. They follow you, what you are doing, and when you are opening this application. How it happens? Are they having a camera to look to you? No. The application, when it comes to you, they send a program to control you. Who are you? What are you opening? What are you visiting? What are you searching for? And those programs, they are the cookies. Those programs, those sort of programs, they are not programs actually. Those controllers, let's say, or trackers, they are the cookies. They are used to know what are you doing inside the website, to know what you are doing. Yes. At the end of the day, the cookies, they are simple text files. Text files, clear. They are not programs. They are sort of some commands written in a text file, like in Notepad, something like that. Yeah, they are commands only, used to follow you, what you are doing in a given application. You open favabay.com, what you do inside there, cookies will know what you are doing, what are the publicities you saw, what are the pages you open, and so on. Cookies. Okay, yes, you as a client, you ask for a web application. The web application will, you ask for a web application. The web application, the web server, sends you the web application. Along with that, sends you the application, but also sends the cookies to you. This is how it happens in the scenario. You ask to open a page of the web application. The server, the web server, sends it to you, search for it first. Once finds it, he sends it to you, but also along with it, it sends you the cookies. So they are not linked. They are to operate together, no more no less. In conclusion, cookies, they are not programs. They are a list of commands or text context, the script to control you, no more, no less. Cookies are not a program, remember. They are not a program. They are not a program. Remember this very clear. They are not a program. They can be actually utilized to track you, what you are doing, what you are seeing, what you are visualizing, and things like that. So just in conclusion here, I'll come back. Yes, here they are not a program. They cannot do anything because they are not a program. Absolutely, remember that. And they are simple text pieces of text. Actually, yeah, okay. The cookies, they are not linked to websites in the sense of they are not inside the website. Once you open for example, the Favapay or the eBay, they are not inside the website. No, they come with the website. So they are not inside the page. No, they are separate. The server sends them in parallel, not along with. It's in parallel. What does it mean? Means they are to be controlled. They are used to track you only, what you are doing inside the application mainly. And they can be controlled how? By either block them completely or accept them all, or somehow in between, a little bit. Where you can do that? Actually, it is from the browser's properties. It is from the browser's properties. This window is here from Internet Explorer, but even though all the browser properties give the chance to control the level of permittance to be given to cookies. Either you allow or you block or whatever. Yes, the properties of the browser. Yes. You may say, actually, I'm going to allow everything. Okay, I'm going to allow everything. Yeah, okay. You can allow all the cookies to come to you. No problem. Yeah, okay. But here in this way, applications will be very slow. You will be receiving cookies that you don't need, and you'll be tracked by everybody while you are not. You are exposing yourself. You are exposing yourself. So it's not good. You can do it. It's one of the options, but in some circumstances, not in all cases. And you can say that I'm going to block. I'm not going to allow any cookie. Okay, you can do. No cookies to come to you. Yeah, you can do that. But remember, some applications will not serve you. They will not run. They will not open. And they will not open unless you accept their cookies. So you may block everything. You may block all. But some cookies, some applications will not run unless you you accept their cookies. So you have to be moderate. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, and so on. Okay, next technology is the JavaScript. Next technology is the JavaScript. It is a scripting language. It is not a programming language used to run web applications, and they are actually to run web, to accomplish, to finish, to give extra features to a web application. The JavaScript does not require a specific platform in the sense of it is not to run only on Windows or on Unix or Linux or operating systems. No, it is to run on all. It is to run on all. Yeah, so the JavaScript, it is to be integrated inside the web page. You as a client, you ask for a web page, or the page having all the solutions. Amongst of that, the JavaScript, yes, integrated inside the web page. So you'll have the JavaScript inside the page, not like the cookies, a separate file. No, it is to be with. Yeah. Yes, JavaScript does not do everything because remember they are not. It's not a programming language. It's a scripting language. It is to add effects, not to create programs. We cannot use the JavaScript to create programs. We use the JavaScript to add effects only. The same way, the JavaScript, it can be utilized to track you. It can be utilized to do malicious activities in your environment, and less controlled. How to control? The same way. The same way we can do something actually inside your browser to control it, like the cookies, the same way like the cookies. Actually here, either to allow or to deny the use of the JavaScript by either permitting that or just disabling or enabling the JavaScript, simply. But remember, if you disable the JavaScript, some applications also will not run. So you have to be moderate. Either you accept or you deny, depends on the situation, if you need or you don't need JavaScript. Good. The question we just come to that. An example of an integrated JavaScript inside the page. So we have the start and tag, it's an HTML. And we have the and tag in between the command. In between the command. We saw this example actually in the lab. We saw this example in the lab. Good. Not only like that, because it is one of the ways how to integrate the JavaScript inside the web browser, but there is another way which is more dangerous, is to link an external file. See here, is to link an external file here. We have the script, and inside the script we have the src, the source, which is an external file. It is a full JavaScript file that has a long list of commands to do. So here is another way how to integrate the JavaScript. Okay, the other technology now is the Java, not the JavaScript. Now the Java, simply. We are not talking about JavaScript now. We are talking about third technology to run on a browser, which is the Java. The Java is a programming language. It's an object-oriented based programming language. It is a complete standalone programming language. It is generated by some companies, whatever, and it is to be utilized to create programs and complete programs to run by themselves. That's good. And the Java is not intended to run on the web. The Java, it is not intended to run on the web. It is not to run on the web. Yet you can use the Java to create Java applets, which are classes that you can integrate inside the web browsers or web solutions. The Java applet is a sort of a class that runs on the web browser. Yes, you can link or integrate a Java applet into a web browser. What is the Java applet? It is a class created using Java. Class, you have to know what does mean class. You have to know what does mean object-oriented programming language. So a class created using Java can be defined as an applet, and since it is defined as an applet, it can be integrated into a web solution. Yeah, okay. The Java applets, they are not to be, actually they are not for the web, but they can be delivered over and with web applications. So here we have you as a client, you ask for a solution from the web server gets the solution, but if it uses Java applet, the Java applet will come inside, not inside. It will come actually in parallel with the web application. It is an external resource to the web application. It is to be integrated later on and visualized inside the page, but it is not a part of the web page. It is not a web part, apart from the web page. Remember this. Means it can cause a complete external link to an external resource or malicious resource, we may say. Okay, solutions against the Java now, not the JavaScript to the web browser. Java, no, Java applet. Solutions against the Java problems in the web browser might be a sandbox or a sandboxing. Means we have to control if you want to use, you as a client user, you want to use or display the content of a Java applet, you have to enable it manually. You have to go through the steps to block the sandbox, and you allow the Java applet. The sandbox, sandbox, literally said, صندوق الرمل. It is a solution via which we can see the Java applets being controlled before being displayed over a web solution, in the sense of you cannot run the Java applets and the Java apps won't run unless you allow them manually. Why? Because the sandbox is active. Java applets, there are types actually. There are good technologies at the beginning, means they can be utilized for good purposes from the beginning. But yet later on, they have been watched and seen used for malicious activities. Thus, we talk about negative and positive Java applets. The accepted Java applets, they are the signed, they are the signed Java applets, in the sense of they are the confirmed, in which we can know who is the developer, who is the implementer, for what purpose, all the details related to the digital certificate, it is available. Those are the signed Java applets. The unsigned means they are not recognized from where they are, and they are not given any hint whom is the developer. Those are the non-trusted. They might be non-malicious, but at the same time they are non-trusted. So signed and not signed or unsigned Java applets. The ActiveX is a plugin. It's an add-in developed at the beginning by Microsoft to be run along with the Microsoft Internet Explorer as a browser, then after with the Microsoft Edge. But nowadays we can see it actually running with the even Chrome and other commercial web browsers. It is to add effects like the JavaScript. It is to add control. It is to add functionalities to facilitate the use of the browser, simply. We can call it also a control or an add-on, either control or an add-on. The problem is here actually that the ActiveX also it communicates with the operating system. It has the chance to communicate with the operating system, so it has the chance to give access to the external from the external environment to the operating system directly. So it can cause a problematic view. It is a risk. It is not a problem from the beginning, but it can be utilized to break in, to hack the operating system. So it is a risk. How to secure against the risks of this ActiveX is either to allow it or to deny it, to enable it or to disable it, simply from the web browser, either to allow the ActiveX from a web browser to run or to deny it. Some examples. XSS, cross-site scripting, is a scenario via which we can see an injection of a malicious script over an entry point in a web browser, web solution. We know the definition clearly, it's not new to us. The XSS actually, it is targeting specifically web solutions, specifically. It is not to target desktop applications, because as we can see from the name, from the title, cross-site scripting. Cross-site, it's in between web applications. All what we can do using the cross-site scripting is to hack either the web application itself or to break in through the web application to the terminals, which are either the operating systems or the web server, any. Means we can pass from the web application to the host, and the host means the operating system. This is a problematic view. And those cross-site scripting attacks, they can be happening, as we discussed yesterday, because of the non-control, of the lack of the control, insufficiency of validation, insufficient validation actually that can be happening on a given entry point in a web browser or in a web solution. Cross-site script, and actually there are actors in to happen, to succeed in doing, or to play, or to make the cross-site run, the attacker himself, the doer, the hacker, the server or the web application that is to be utilized to pass the attack, and the client, which is the user. The attacker, the hacker, the web application to use, and the victim. Yes, actually, the scenario, you know how it goes, the matter of the cross-site scripting. Yes, it's not new to you. Yeah, very good example here. See the JavaScript, as we did yesterday in the lab. You just pass a script command or a CSS command. All what you can do is to manipulate the content of a web solution, to manipulate the content, either to hide, to display, to change, to add. All what you can do, it is to be utilized, to be successful. Yeah, solution against the cross-site scripting, simply input validation. Simply, no other discussions. Input validation. Nothing to be inputted from external to through the entry points unless it is controlled. It has to be validated, otherwise it will not go. Otherwise it will not go. Yes, to read what is being written, to allow, to deny, and things like that. This is the input validation. This is the meaning of the input validation. Yeah, quiz. Good. This is a good example via which we can see the input validation in action, or it can be utilized to do an XSS attack, either to apply the validation as a security admin, or to do the XSS attack as an attacker, as a hacker. Yes, all of it is a matter of great. The same entry points that actually can be utilized for an XSS attack, it can be utilized for a SQL injection. Because what we saw so far, in the lab and what we talked about the XSS, it is a matter of injecting either JavaScript or CSS, the Cascade styling sheet, the styling script. But also, in a form like this, actually, we can pass SQL commands. We can pass SQL commands because those fields here in the login, for example, in the login interface, there are links to the database. And the database, it is to be read or let's say updated only using the SQL commands, only SQL. So instead of typing usernames and passwords and things like that, we may type malicious queries, malicious SQL queries to attack the web application. Here we talk about SQL injection. Why it is injection? Because you are not allowed to pass a SQL command. You are allowed only to write your name only, but to type SQL. So you are injecting a SQL command. Still, it is XSS only. Still, it is cross-site scripting. Yes. All the activities you can do using the SQL injection, because you are going to attack a database, not only the interface. So you can do all the behaviors a malware can do, which is to delete, to conceal, to search for, let's say, a benefit. Great. So actually, we stop at this level and see you next class, inshallah. Any questions? I'm going to take the attendance right now. I'll send you the link, also the video.